A Washington University researcher has spent 2 decades advancing computer-aided drug design methods. Then in recent years, a breakthrough that may revolutionize the drug industry.
I've had a hope for 20 years that something like this might be possible.
Jay Ponder, professor of chemistry, biochemistry, and biophysics, says he can now give pharmaceutical companies the ability to develop drugs cheaper, faster, and better. He's behind the creation of new software and technologies designed to improve calculations of drug target binding.
Being able to calculate drug target binding is the absolute most critical need in all of drug design. It's the fundamental, it's the holy grail of drug design.
Dr. Chris Ho's company, Drug Design Methodologies, teamed up with Ponder after the professor succeeded in this quest for the so-called Holy Grail.
This molecule, for example, is Lexapro, which is an SSRI antidepressant. And so if you want to design a better version, for example, of this molecule, you need to know how tightly it will bind to a receptor or a protein in your body. And so Chris and I have been working on technology to, by computer, estimate the binding of such molecules to a biological receptor.
This is apolipoprotein E4. It's the one thing in your body that has the highest correlation with Alzheimer's currently. And so this is potentially where a drug may bind. It could bind in other places as well. Again, that is what drug companies do for a living. Figure out where they can potentially alter the characteristics of a bad protein in some way. Our force fields, the amoeba force field, developed by Jay Ponder, enables us to model how these proteins interact with one another more accurately than current force field technologies.
So they're leveraging their software to help drug companies do it better.
It's just a matter of putting more physics into the model and calibrating it accurately. And so it's taken us 15 or 20 years to do that.
All that was needed to bring it to market was the computing power, as the calculations are computer intensive.
When we put the drug inside its receptor, we actually have to shake it around over millions of different orientations and average over that in order to get out the right number for the interaction energy.
Taking a supercomputer to handle. But for the longest time, there wasn't one.
It had a little bit of the feel to it of the old movie Field of Dreams. You know, if you build it, they will come. And so we've kind of been building this technology and working on the methodology, and with this vague hope that eventually computers would become fast enough we'd actually be able to do this. And we've now reached that point.
They have video gamers to thank for it, for driving the market, pushing development of the very technology Ponder needed.
A so-called GPU, a graphical processing unit. This is basically a video card. It's what serious teenage boys that play video games use cards like this to play their high-end video games.
Because a video card is actually a supercomputer, and that is doing all your calculations on those video cards that everyone uses to play Call of Duty.
A research group at Stanford University did the initial computer programming to get his group's chemistry model to run on the video cards. Now his lab and other collaborators are extending that work, programming drug calculations to run on cards. There are more than 100 computers in this room, each with as many as 3 of these running modeling simulations 24/7. Ponder says the video card is 20 times faster than the fastest desktop computer, which makes all the difference.
5 years ago, they would take weeks for one calculation, for one drug against the target. That's way too slow to be useful. Now they can be done overnight. Drug Design Methodologies converts the academic software from Ponder's lab into a commercial product for drug companies and researchers.
At the moment, drug companies have to synthesize all of these molecules and physically test them in the laboratory to see how they bind, and that's incredibly labor-intensive and expensive and time-consuming. And so if we could do all of that work by computer, it would obviously be a major breakthrough for the drug industry.
And he says they could make more effective of drugs, limiting side effects.
The side effects are due to the fact that the drug not only binds to the molecule you want it to bind to, but it binds to other things. If you can make the binding of this molecule tighter to its desired target, then you can use a lower dose of the drug and you'll minimize side effects.
We have collaborations with several of the major pharmaceutical companies, actually the largest in the world currently. And they are very interested in this technology because everyone wants to get that extra piece of data that will help them get that drug to the market that much faster and cheaper.
For Innovations, I'm Kathleen Berger.